Welcome to the first of hopefully many solve critiques to come on the channel. My goal at the moment is to make the most in-depth solve critiques the industry has ever seen. And right now I'm doing them for free, basically. So if you'd like your solves to be critiqued, then click on the first link in the description, which will take you to my community. Sign up for it, it's free, and I will DM you with further info. All right, so for your first solve, you solved cross with white in front of you, which if you're using CFOP, please, for the love of God, solve cross on the bottom. Nonetheless, you went U, L, U prime, and then you rotated and did a D and another D. So learn how to do D2 flicks with both your left and right pinky and ring fingers. But what I would have done in this position is to go F, L, F prime, D2. And I had 0 regrips in that solution. So for your first pair, this is the pair you saw. And your moves were that, R, U prime, R prime. And then you went L, U2 prime, L prime, U, L, U prime, L prime to insert into the bag. Now, what you did cost you 14 moves, but if you were aware of advanced F2L, you would have seen that you could have actually put it right in the back and then split up that pair like so. That's 2 moves already, 3, 4, and that pairs them up. And then you would have actually cancelled into this, which would still be 4 moves, 5, 6 to insert. So what that would look like is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another thing I noticed is your finger tricks on this solution. You went ahead, again, you split this up and you did a U prime. And then when it came to this, pairing them up, you did a U2 prime actually, which is good. But then you went back to doing a double U. So again, double flicks are way better than just doing that. So for your second pair, you notice the green, red pair, and you did that, and then you rotated, and then you paired them up, doing that. And then interesting set of moves here. You did an L, then an L prime, then you did a U prime, then a U, and then you inserted. And so I think that's a recognition problem because this is one of the easiest F12 cases. And so it should trigger your muscle memory to immediately go into insertion instead of having to think of what you're doing. So what you did there was 17 moves, but I just want to show you what I would have done with a knowledge of advanced F2L. So noticing these two pairs, I would have noticed that this green-red edge is actually a bad edge. It's not oriented. And how would I know this? Well, oriented edges, their top color matches either the front or back color. So it would either be orange or red for this pair. So since that's not the case here, then this edge is misoriented. So I would have known to immediately rotate, and then I would have gone. So the rotation is 1 move, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, as opposed to your 17 move solution. Your next pair was these two, and I just want to point out that after this insert, I would have noticed these two first, which would have been a perfect back slot into this pair. However, you split these two up by doing that, removing the edge piece, and then you went R prime for some reason, then you went R2, paired them up, and then you did that, and then again you went R prime, and then you inserted. But what I really want to address is I guess that's a recognition problem. So, okay, this was fine because you knew exactly what you were doing here to pair these up. And then when you went R prime, I guess that was kind of you not used to being used to this case, which should be a standard F12 case, honestly, for just even somebody who doesn't know advanced F12. You should know to immediately go into that without even having to think of the solution. So I believe the mistake of you doing an R prime before that R is a recognition problem, which should be solved with you basically doing slow solves and drilling F12 cases. Again, you were kind of hesitant going into this last pair, and so you kind of like slow down here with this L prime before being confident enough to do that, L, and then insert. So again, drill your F2L cases to look OLL. So it kind of took you a while recognizing this case. Now, I don't know if it's because you actually know some dot cases, but you go U2 prime, and then you go into wide F, R, U, R prime, U prime, wide F prime with your index finger. Now, your index finger had actually come from a U prime before you did that last wide F prime, which is overworking the finger, right? So what I would rather have you do is go U prime and then wide F with your thumb. You go F, R, U, R prime, U prime, and then you go wide F prime like that, which obviously yellow isn't solved. Then you had to do an S move. Mistakes happen. Right, so for PLL, you got this N perm, and I'm not going to repeat the terrible finger tricks that you did in your solve, but I do want to show you what a N perm with decent finger tricks will look like, because you and I use the same N perm, and we actually need to change it, bro. There's a better N perm out there, I swear. Just under 3 seconds, which is what your PLL should be if you want to be sub 20. And yeah, I guess that's why your PLL was about 5 seconds, I believe. So for solve number 2, you solved again with white in front, which although your solve was 7 moves for your cross and less than 3 seconds, I would rather have you have more moves and actually solve your cross on the bottom. I would have gone B prime, R prime, L prime, F prime, L2, D2. Your first pair was these two, and you did that to remove them from the slot. And then you did a U prime, which was an extra move because you rotated and realized that it was unnecessary. And then you go L, U, L prime to pair them up. And then you insert into the back. And then you also realized this case, which you also inserted into the back. So 2 back inserts, good solve so far. Your next pair, you saw these two, and you went U, U, then rotated and realized that was an extra U move that you made. And then you did this move again, which was a mistake. U prime, which U2 flick would have been better, which you did actually do at this moment. And then you kind of did that as well to insert. And last pair, you rotated, did a U, which was useless. And then you split these up. And then I think you did a U first, and then rotated, and then did that standard for that case. To look OLL, you did the lefty algorithm for to look, so that's that, which ends with you doing a thumb push for your F, but then here, same algorithm, but then you ended it off with your index finger. Again, overworking your index finger. It would have been way better to just do exactly what you did with your left finger. And then as for PLR, you kind of peeped into the back, rotated your cube to recognize the case. I would rather have you do U moves to kind of recognize what case it is rather than this. And your recognition actually took you like a second, which is why your PLR was 4 seconds. And I think you did a U again, which by now you should know what I'm about to say. So for this solve, not only did you solve cross in front, but you actually rotated mid-cross, and either way your solution is more than 8 moves. So what I would have done was solve cross on the bottom, and I probably also would have messed this cross up because it isn't an easy solution. But I found something that probably would have worked. So it's L prime to insert green, and then I would have went F, R, B prime to insert red, and then R2 prime, F, D prime, L, which is exactly 8 moves. Another thing I noticed with your cross is that once you inserted all edges, you checked to see if you did the cross, then you aligned the cross, did a U move, and then you checked if it was aligned. So at some point, especially heading towards sub 20, you should get to a place where you can solve your cross without even looking at it, which is going to come with a lot of intentional practice. Because what ideally you want to be doing is actually looking ahead for your first pair. For your first pair, you noticed these two, which is a perfect back insert. With advanced F2L, you don't need to pair these up as you did. You can rather just 3-move insert. Because if you look at it from this angle, it's a standard case. But nonetheless, you go R prime, U, R. Then you go U prime, U prime, U prime, which is a total waste of moves. Because even from this position, you could have like inserted like that. But nonetheless, I'll give you grace. U prime, U prime, U prime. Then you insert it into the back. Then your next pair naturally was these two. You go U, U prime. I think you're trying to recognize this, which it's better than doing that. Either way, you go like that, no double flick. Next pair, standard. And then for the final pair, you go, which is great. As for OLL, you did a standard alg, but your finger tricks, which were like that, we're kind of lacking. So what you could have done is actually do your F instead of using a push F, which is kind of weaker. You can actually start your F move with your right index, but it's gonna take some getting used to. As for your PLL, you got this G B perm, and you rotate it to recognize the case. Again, this is better than doing that. And then you started off well with your finger tricks. And then when it came to the R2, that was pretty standard. Then you went U prime. But instead of rolling your R again, what you did was actually regrip and do your R again, which is it's a minor regrip, but then it does matter, especially when you're trying to like do your PLL fast. And then you went like that, then you pushed like that, which I guess is okay, but I like to do a push U in that case. I guess you can even do both just to kind of make sure that you don't miss that move. Then R2, D prime, U prime. So for solve number 4, you actually decided to solve cross on the bottom, which makes me happy. You went B, then you went L2 to insert orange and align it with red. Then you went F prime, and then I think you made a mistake because you did D prime and then realized you went the wrong way. Then you went D, D, R prime, U2, L2 to insert green, and then you aligned your cross, which it costed you 9 moves, and it was just under 5 seconds. But again, I'd rather have you have your cross take longer, as long as you're solving it on the bottom. For your first pair, you noticed these two, and you went U prime, L prime, U, L to pair them up. Then you rotated and went U, and then inserted that into the back, which is great. What I would have done is actually not even all that advanced. I would have gone U2, and then noticing that this top color matches the front color of the edge, then I would have done that to pair them up. And then I would have rotated this way and back slot. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 compared to your 13 move solution. And then for this pair, you spent a lot of time recognizing it because you went U prime, U, U prime, U, then you rotated, then went U prime again, then went L, U, U, L, L prime, U, U, L, U prime, L prime, U prime, L to split and pair them up. And then finally you went U, U, L prime, U prime, L, which was 19 moves total. What I would have done is to go L, U prime, L prime, U2, so that's 4 moves, 5, 6, 7, 8. For your next pair, I probably would have started with the blue-orange pair because it's an easy back insert, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves. But you rotated, and then you did that and that, which was unnecessary. Then you went U2 prime. Then you went L prime, U2 prime, L, U, U. Then you went L prime, U prime, L. So what I would have done if I was going for this pair next is just realize that this is a regular case, a beginner advanced F2L case, if you will. So I would rotate, then do a U, then realize when I take this out, these are already paired, and then I would just insert like that. For your last pair, you went U, then rotated, and went U prime, L prime, U, U, L to split them up, and then you went U prime, then L prime, U, U, L to pair them up, and then you inserted, which was 16 moves total. But what I would have done is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which obviously beats 16 moves. OLL was standard. You went lefty of this algorithm, white F L U, or white F prime L U prime, L U white F prime, white F prime, white F. Oh my god. Bro, I'm so sleepy. All right, so I don't use your R perm, but I'm gonna try and see if I can do better finger tricks than yours. So you kind of did that to recognize the case, and then you went U, U prime, then R prime, U2, R, then you went U prime, which obviously this is better. R prime F, R U, R prime U prime, R prime F prime, R2 U prime. So for your last solve, you actually went back to solving cross in front, but I just want to show you what I would have done for this exact scramble. So we already have orange inserted here. I would have started with red front and went U prime, 1 move, R prime, 2 moves, U prime again, 3 moves. And the reason why I put this edge piece on top of my green is for me to insert it like so. That's 4, 5 moves, 6 moves, right? Sub 8 moves, and it probably wouldn't have taken me more than 3 seconds to solve. If there's something to learn from my solution is that always use good edges to insert bad edges. And another principle is that you need to start with your bad edges. They don't necessarily need to be the first move. Like in this example, I started with this, but then eventually they need to be solved before the good edges. So for your first pair, you saw these two, and you did U, L prime, U, L, U, L prime, U prime, L to split them up and pair them up. And then you back inserted, which was 11 moves. But what I would have done is I would have noticed I have a lot of corners up here, right? So I have a lot of pieces to work with. And I tend to ignore weird and awkward cases like these ones. And so I probably would have noticed this by just going like that. And then I would have just inserted this, which would have given me a better pair to work with in terms of the red green. And then for your next pair, you noticed these two, and you removed this edge, and then you did this business again, or I guess you did it here, and then you inserted. So that was 12 moves. But what I would have done is, since I know I already have to rotate, because this is a bad edge, I would have to rotate for this pair anyways. So I would have gone 1, 2, 3 to pair these up, 4, 5, 6, and then I would have went into solving this. For your third pair, you saw these, I guess, and you somehow came up with a 17 move solution, which was U prime, which was wasted. Then you went U prime, L prime, U prime, L to take out your corner, and then you went U, rotated, U again, R, U prime, R prime, U, R, U prime, R prime. So like I said, that was 17 moves, but advanced F12 would have had you rotate this way, and then that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 moves. And then your last pair, pretty standard. Okay, and for OLL, you had a algorithm here, which you had a lot of regrips, but I just wanna, I don't know how good that algorithm is. And yeah, this is the algorithm I use. So it goes something like that. So minimal regrips. In fact, no regrips. But you went R, R prime, U, R, U, R prime, U prime, M2, U, R, U prime, white R prime. And then for PLL, once again, you recognize looking into the back. Always recognize using the U layer. And then you went into your Y perm. But I just want to highlight a minor detail here. So for your final F prime, you always do it like that. But then the issue here is that you had a U prime, which you also did with your index finger. And what I would have done is to do my Y perm, but then if my AUF is a U prime at the end, then I would rather push U just to save those nanoseconds. And with that, that's our first Ao5 critique on this channel. And so if you would like to have your solves critiqued, then all you need to do is just click the first link in the description, which takes you to my community. And all you need to do is sign up for the community. It's free. And I will DM you with further info on how to claim this free Ao5.